Welcome back to News First. As part of an effort to promote preparedness in the event of an emergency, federal agencies will be undergoing a training course to better work together. Let's check in with PNC's Amanda Dedicatoria for more.
Several military leaders gathered at the Guam Army National Guard Readiness Center earlier today as part of a training to prepare themselves for an upcoming full-scale disaster readiness exercise that will take place at the end of the year. Conducted by visiting members of the United States Northern Command, a unified combatant command tasked with providing homeland defense efforts and support, this three-day training course will enable the various military branches as well as federal and local agencies to work better together in emergency relief efforts, according to Lieutenant Colonel Terrence Buckhalter, a team chief at U.S. Northcom.
The participants can expect to spend a lot of time getting to know each other, getting to understand what the various capabilities are, what their counterparts will do, what the expectations are in working in a joint environment, how they can best serve the people here on Guam to return them back to a state of normalcy in case of any type of disaster.
The training course is a part of the preparation for the Vigilant Guard 2020 exercise, which is expected to take place on Guam in November. After having gone through the Typhoon Paksu readiness exercise earlier this year, island residents can expect the upcoming Vigilant Guard exercise to be a much bigger event to promote joint organization readiness in the event of a disaster, and will be held in several areas on the island. As for the importance of holding such trainings and exercises before the event of a disaster, the Lieutenant Colonel says that it's all for the sake of preparedness.
Noah built the ark well before it was raining, so we have to be prepared. It's not at the point where the disaster hits that we need to get to know the people that we work with. Family is big here in Guam. Working together is big here on Guam, and that's the approach that we're taking.
Amanda Dedicatoria, PNC News.
In keeping with regional news, earlier this week, Guam Attorney General's office issued a statement that the CNMI will be filing a complaint in the multi-litigation effort regarding PFS contamination. Let's check in again with PNC's Amanda Dedicatoria for the update.
After the Guam Attorney General's office released an update that the CNMI has joined the multi-litigation effort regarding PFAS contamination, CNMI Attorney General Edward Manabusan says that the CNMI will be assisted by the subject matter experts that are providing counsel to Guam's case. Manabusan says that the CNMI and Guam will be filing separate complaints and will be assisted by Kelly Dry and Warren, an international law firm operating from Houston, Texas. He also adds that the CNMI is currently compiling information to draft the complaint and anticipates formalizing the claims and filing the case in the upcoming weeks. Short for polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFAS refers to a group of artificial chemicals that do not deteriorate and can cause adverse health effects such as birth defects, certain cancers, and changes to the immune system. As stated in an earlier report on the issue, the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation, the CNMI Public Utility Agency, says that high levels of the substance were detected on several locations in Saipan. The affected area in question was the Asterlahi tank in Saipan, which was found earlier this month to have had a PFAS concentration of 138 parts per trillion, exceeding the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's health advisory of 70 parts per trillion. Amanda Dedicatoria, PNC News.
Thanks, Amanda, for that report. Well, it's not over till it's over. Dr. Robert Underwood, a longtime advocate for Chamorro self-determination, told the Mayor's Council of Guam this morning, stressing that the recent Dave Davis court ruling should not deter the island's quest for self-determination. Underwood spoke at the council meeting to seek community support for the planned Fanogi March for Chamorro self-determination this September, emphasizing that the march is not specifically for independence, statehood, or free association, but for self-determination.
Dave Davis is not going to have the last word on this. We're going to have the last word on this. Viva Guam! Viva! That's the whole point of it. So, as we go through this process, we hope that we will support it. For some people, the result of the Ninth Circuit meant that the issue is now over. And what we're trying to say is it's not over. It's not over. It's not over until we say it's over.
Underwood said the statement has to be made that it's not over for Guam's self-determination and that island leaders must reaffirm support for Chamorro self-determination. He said they are still options that Guam can pursue and that the Davis court ruling should be treated as merely a setback.
The point of the march is that, the people who were colonized should have one time, at least one time, to vote on what their preference is. And that's what Chamorro self-determination is. So anybody who's lived on Guam a long time, anybody who understands the history of Guam can support that.
The march is set to take place on September 2nd, Labor Day, from Adelup to the U.S. District Court. Well, up next, we hit the big screen with Take Two Coming Attractions.
Take Two Coming Attractions is brought to you by Pizza Hut. We're taking pizza to where it's never been before, and Bank of Hawaii. Avade, and welcome to Take Two Coming Attractions, where I inform you of the latest films hitting the cinemas. I'm Tony Wilder II, and this weekend we have 2 sequels and a baby, a comedy. The animated video game sequel, The Angry Birds Movie 2, the shark thriller sequel, get it? 47 Meters Down, Uncaged, and the raunchy Seth Rogen comedy, Good Boys. With the new enemy on the horizon, the Angry Birds reluctantly team up with their former enemies, the pigs, to take down this new threat together. In 47 Meters Down, Uncaged, 4 teenage girls explore an underwater cave and make 2 startling discoveries: an underwater city and the sharks that just so happen to be living down there. And finally, Good Boys follows 3 middle school boys who get into shenanigans after shenanigans after shenanigans before heading to a party. With the Angry Birds Movie 2, I personally was not a huge fan of the first Angry Birds movie, and now here you are making a sequel to a game that most people don't really care about or even play that much. Come on, man. Now, I'm sure the kids will like it, but for me, hard pass. As for 47 Meters Down Uncaged, again, I cannot believe they made a sequel to that film. Watching the trailer made me scratch my head like the whole concept does not make any sense. What are sharks doing in an underwater city that happens to be inland? Maybe it's connected to the sea? I don't really know. They'll probably explain it in the movie, but I just didn't see the need for it. I don't think anybody was asking for it. Interestingly enough, of the 3 films coming out this weekend, the one I think is worth checking out is Good Boys, even though it is literally a carbon copy of Superbad. But even though the film's concept and premise are a blatant rehash, it still looks outright hilarious and seems like a fun time at the movies. And that'll do it for me today here on Take Two Coming Attractions. I'm Tony Wilder II, and I'll see you at the movies.
Weather and sports are up next, so don't go anywhere.